Chapter 1, The Gathering Storm. You've got 5 seconds, human girl. Then I make you stand. Zalith Prime was a marvel of glass, grav architecture, and floating monoliths, a jewel among alien worlds. But beneath the sleek brilliance of its high towers and zero-G arenas, the weight of tradition hung heavy. Every species in the Karen Empire had carved a place in its pecking order, clawing to the top. Every species, except one. Ava Wren stood at the edge of the training quad, her boots damp from the morning mist that never quite cleared. Around her, the crowd gathered quickly, an audience built from superiority complexes and shallow curiosity. She was used to it. Human. Fragile. Strange. Unworthy. That was the quiet verdict in every hallway glance, every cafeteria seat left vacant beside her. She'd been at the academy for 6 months now. Long enough to learn the schedules, the shortcuts, the kinds of food to avoid if you didn't want to glow in the dark. And long enough to realize that silence was her armor. You hear me, Earthspawn? Vorak Drentar's voice cut through the ambient chatter like a shock blade. I said stand up. He was already in the center of the quad, towering over most with his 4-jointed legs braced wide and his blue exoskin gleaming in the early light. A ceremonial shock whip hung at his side, officially decorative. Practically a weapon. Ava didn't respond. She stood near a bench, arms folded loosely, eyes calm. She looked too small to be here, like someone had misplaced a civilian teenager in the middle of a military pageant. Vorak stepped closer, his tone louder, mocking now. Or is your spine still growing, little primate? Laughter rippled through the circle of students. Species from across the stars, plated, scaled, feathered, furred, watching the show. Some smirked. Others didn't look so sure. Ava's expression didn't change. She wasn't afraid. But neither was she challenging him. Not yet. The duel had been announced at morning assembly, open combat demonstration, they called it. An honor. A spectacle. One student picked at random to face off in front of the Academy's combat instructors and peers. Except this time, Vorak had requested the matchup. The instructors had smirked. Will the human accept? She had said nothing. The AI interpreted silence as consent. And now, here they were. You don't have to do this, said Pelin, a squid-eyed Zernian who had once helped her navigate the mess hall food codes. He hovered nervously beside her, whispering. He's trying to provoke you. If you stand, you give him what he wants. Ava's gaze didn't leave Vorak. That's what he's counting on. The crowd stirred as the head instructor's voice echoed across the comms. Demonstration begins in 60 seconds. Vorak uncoiled his shock whip, letting it crack once in the air like thunder. A few students flinched. Last chance, Earthling, he growled, pacing. Stand. Bow. Beg. Or everyone here gets to watch me educate a species that still can't build a decent starship. Still, Ava remained still. Her eyes didn't narrow. Her muscles didn't tense. But inside, something stirred. She wasn't thinking of Vorak. She was thinking of another courtyard, years ago, on a burning world called Kaelron 9. Smoke. Screams. Her brother, Jace, kneeling in front of her, arms spread wide. Stay down, he had whispered. They won't see you if you don't move. They had seen him instead. And they never saw her coming later. Why won't she move? Someone muttered. Is she frozen? Maybe humans just freeze under pressure, primitive reflex. Vorak's lip curled, revealing needle-like teeth. 10 seconds, then I break you. He began to circle her slowly, whip twitching in his hand. Ava's fingers brushed the inside of her palm, 5 small pressure points, touched in sequence. A calming technique. Not for battle. For remembering. She didn't want to fight. But she wouldn't run. Not anymore. Flashback. She was 9. Blood in her eyes. Her brother's body cooling in her arms. And above them, the towering form of a Ralph-Ack soldier laughing, gun raised. Ava had stood up then. But not today. Today, she had something else to prove. The countdown began. 10. 9. The crowd pressed in, silent now. Expectant. Hungry for the humiliation they'd been promised. 8. 7. Vorek's breathing slowed. He could sense the moment building. The crack before the snap. He wanted her to flinch. Move. React. Prove him right. 6. 5. Pelin whispered again. Ava. She raised one hand slightly. He stopped talking. 4. 3. Vorek raised the whip. 2. Ava didn't blink. 1. The whip cracked forward. And the moment froze. To the casual observer, it was too fast to track. A blur of motion, a twist of limbs, a sound like fabric tearing. But Vorek was no casual observer. He felt his own momentum reverse as if time disagreed with him. His whip never landed. His wrist twisted in a direction it wasn't meant to go. His knees buckled. Gravity betrayed him. He hit the ground. Hard. Mouth open. Breath gone. Vision spinning. The crowd gasped. Several students backed up. Ava stood exactly where she'd been, except now, Vorek lay crumpled at her feet, unmoving. She hadn't taken a step. Hadn't bent her knees. Hadn't even stood up. Silence. Then a whisper from the back. Did she even move? She turned away. No words. No fist pump. No gloating. Just a soft, steady walk back to the bench. The whip lay on the ground like a broken promise. Ava sat down. Folded her hands. Whispered one thing under her breath. 10 seconds. Chapter 2, The Look That Broke Him. Vorek Drentar didn't fall like a warrior. He collapsed like a malfunctioning machine, body locked, arms twitching, mouth still open as if the arrogance hadn't realized it no longer had air to ride on. The courtyard didn't erupt in noise. It didn't dare. What happened didn't register right away. The crowd remained frozen, caught between confusion and disbelief. Dozens of alien eyes flicked from Ava to Vorek's motionless form and back again. It didn't make sense. He was faster, stronger, armored. She hadn't even, had she? Pelin finally whispered what they were all thinking. She didn't do anything. Ava sat on the edge of the bench, her expression unreadable. She wasn't smug. She wasn't relieved. She was still. The head instructor's voice crackled across the comms, far less confident than before. Combat demonstration complete. Medical unit, report to the quad. 2 seconds later, a pair of Karen medbots hovered down, scanning Vorek's vitals. The results flickered over a display. Neurological disruption detected. No external trauma. Whip hand dislocated. Systemic shutdown, likely psychological trigger. Psychological? The bots paused. One of them hesitated, which was unusual for machines. Then the message appeared in a red bar above the medical report. Mental shock trauma suspected. Recommend long-term observation. Ava didn't blink. Inside the instructor's dome above the arena, Commander J.L. Rax, tactical advisor of the Karen High Command, leaned forward. He wasn't laughing. She broke him, he said quietly. An aide stammered. But, she never stood. There's no combat record. No footage showing contact. J.L. rewound the moment frame by frame. Ava's hand moved, yes, but only slightly. A twitch of the fingers. A shift in breath. Nothing more. Fear isn't always caused by impact, he murmured. Sometimes, it's memory. He tapped a panel. Flag her file. Origin planet, Earth. Cross-reference with Kaleron 9 survivors. Back on the ground, students began to back away from Ava. Not with disgust, with caution. It was no longer mockery in their eyes. It was calculation. A girl they dismissed seconds ago had done something impossible. No one knew what. And worse, no one could see it. That made her dangerous. She glitched him, one insectoid muttered. No. He saw something, said another, voice low. Ava stood. Just once. One motion. That was enough. The crowd parted. She walked through the center like nothing happened. Calm. Unhurried. But her footsteps echoed louder than the whip had. Inside the Academy's command center, intelligence officers whispered among themselves. She's unranked. No previous combat stats. Background, martial arts. Earth-based. Old school stuff. Survivor of a planetary siege. Brother listed Kia. One paused the scroll. Wait. She's listed as non-combatant status? Her brother wasn't. He was Delta class. Tactical infiltration. Someone else spoke up. Didn't that unit use mental deconstruction techniques? Reflexive defense modeling? That was outlawed. Earth never signed that clause. Silence followed. Then, slowly, so she's a living weapon trained to not fight, unless absolutely necessary. Ava returned to her dorm. She didn't wash. She didn't eat. She knelt by her trunk, opened the hidden compartment, and pulled out a worn photograph. 2 kids. Her and Jace. Sand on their boots. A training sword between them. His smile was wide. Hers was confused. She held it quietly. A memory flickered. If they laugh, let them. If they shout, don't answer. If they strike first, end it fast. But if they strike you, Ava, you finish it so they never want to strike again. Across campus, Vorok had been moved into the med-base isolation chamber. He wasn't unconscious anymore. He was awake. Eyes wide. Pupils dilated. Breathing shallow. He hadn't spoken. A nurse whispered, he's unresponsive to voice prompts. They tried to play back footage of the fight. He screamed. They shut it off immediately. The Karen Council dispatched an urgent message to Earth's Terran diplomatic office. Subject, Human Cadet Ava Wren. Classification, Threat Analysis Pending. Recommendation, Further action requires Terran authorization. The reply came an hour later. She's just a girl. No further action needed. J.L. Rax read it twice. Then once more. She's not just anything, he muttered. In the cafeteria the next day, Ava sat alone. As usual. But now, the distance was respectful. The stares were longer. The whispers softer. One Zarnian student tried to sit beside her. She didn't look up. He changed his mind. Pelin approached her table. He stood for a long time before speaking. You okay? Ava nodded. I mean, what was that? She looked at him finally. Self-defense, she said. He opened his mouth to press, but stopped. Some questions don't need answers. Later that night, the Academy board filed an internal report. One line stood out among the rest. Subject demonstrated restraint beyond known psychological tolerance under duress. When provoked, reaction time and precision exceeded simulation parameters by a factor of 12.42. Recommend containment protocol review. A second report followed, classified Omega clearance. Do not engage human cadets in open combat without council oversight. Ava lay in her bunk, arms folded under her head. Lights dim. The photo of Jace tucked beneath her pillow. She wasn't proud. She wasn't sorry. She was just done pretending. Chapter 3, The Silence After Thunder. Ava's quarters were dark, the only glow coming from a small night lamp flickering beside her bed. The academy was quiet now, the way a battlefield sometimes feels silent after the last shell drops, not peaceful, just paused. Like everyone was waiting to see what happened next. She sat upright, knees drawn to her chest, photo of Jace still tucked beneath her fingers. She wasn't tired. Not really. Not the kind of tired sleep could fix. The door chimed. She didn't answer. It chimed again. Cadet Ava Wren, a voice called, calm and unfamiliar. I am Advisor Kaylin Var. I request a private conversation. She tapped the panel. The door slid open. The figure that stepped in was tall, robed, not military. A Karen Council emissary, silver markings across the face, someone with the power to speak, but never raise a weapon. He didn't sit. Ava didn't offer. I reviewed your file, Kaylin said, glancing around the room. It's light. Too light. No psych evaluations. No training scores. And yet yesterday, a top-level enforcer suffered a neural collapse within 10 seconds of engaging you. Her voice was quiet. He attacked me. I'm not here to accuse you. Kaylin studied her face. I'm here to understand you. There's nothing to understand. Spoken like someone who's spent years hiding. A long pause. You're not here to learn, he added softly. You were placed here. To see if we'd notice. She looked at him then. No, she said. I came because I wanted to know if I could be here, without needing to prove anything. Kaylin nodded once. Then yesterday changed that. She didn't deny it. He stepped toward the door. The council will not take official action. But you've been marked, Ava. Not as a criminal. As a question they're not ready to answer. The door closed behind him. 2 floors up, in a chamber sealed by Karen security codes, J.L. Rax stood before a wall-length display. On it, slow-motion playback of Ava's hand, moving fractionally. No visible strike. No visible force. Just a look, and Vorak broke. The system flagged it as unquantifiable. He shut the screen off. Behind him, an aide asked, "Do we send her home?" "No," JL said. "We watch." Across the galaxy, at the Terran Defense Command, General Aaron Reyes tapped through a report marked urgent, interspecies conflict potential, Earth cadet incident. She smiled grimly. They poked her. A lieutenant nearby raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am?" "They sent a predator to test a scholar," Reyes said. Didn't realize the scholar remembered the war. The lieutenant frowned. "Do we extract her?" "No. Let them sit with it." By midweek, the Academy's atmosphere had shifted. No more taunts. No more mock demonstrations. Ava noticed the difference immediately. The air wasn't colder, just more careful. Students still stared, but now it wasn't contempt. It was calculation. No one blocked her path. No one whispered within earshot. It was like a storm had passed and no one wanted to be the next lightning rod. She sat alone at lunch. But the silence felt different now. Not lonely. Respectful. Pellin approached again, hesitant. "They moved Vorak to the outer med station," he said, voice low. "He still won't speak. Just stares at the wall." Ava didn't look up. "He'll recover." "Maybe. But he keeps saying one thing." She finally turned toward him. "What?" Pellin swallowed. "He keeps repeating, she didn't stand up." Over and over. Later that day, Ava stood before a mirrored wall in the empty training dome. Her reflection stared back. Same uniform. Same height. Same features. But now, something looked different. Not her expression. Her presence. She walked to the mat, dropped to her knees, and breathed in. Caloran's fires were still in her lungs. The sound of Jace's last words still lived in her bones. But they weren't pain anymore. They were fuel. Elsewhere on campus, the instructors gathered privately. She's not a weapon, said one. She's a warning. Another added, she broke a Karen enforcer without touching him. That's not just training. That's legacy. What legacy? Earth's real one, the oldest said quietly. The one they never write down. That night, Ava received a message on her terminal. Encrypted. From Terran Defense Command. We saw what happened. No reprimand. You acted within your rights. Maintain position. No action unless provoked again. Also, your brother would have been proud. She closed the message, leaned back, and stared at the ceiling. Yeah, she whispered. But he'd still say I took too long. Weeks passed. The story spread. The humans sent a girl. The girl never stood up. And someone almost died from fear alone. It made the other species rethink what peaceful really meant. And why Earth had been quiet for so long. Final scene. Inside the Karen Council Hall, a new advisory was placed on record. Subject, Ava Wren. Species, human. Threat level, unconfirmed but elevated. Summary. Exhibits extreme control. Refrains from escalation. Capable of disabling high-level combatants with no physical contact. Psychological impact unmatched in non-lethal encounter. Status, observe. Never engage without full council consensus. Across the advisory, stamped in red. She did not even stand up. Chapter 4, her brother taught her silence. Rain never reached Zalith Prime's academy surface. It fell above the upper domes, vaporized by layered energy shields, scattering light like crystal dust. But Ava had always loved rain. She missed the smell, the sting of it on her face. On Earth, rain was an ending, or a beginning. On Zalith, everything just stayed sterile. Controlled. Distant. Like the people watching her now. She stood at the edge of the observation chamber, glass on three sides, stars crawling across the black beyond. Behind her, 6 senior officials sat at a curved table, their voices measured but cautious. You are not under disciplinary review, said Counselor Honeck, adjusting his neural circlet. This is a debrief. We ask only for clarity. I've already submitted my report, Ava replied evenly. Yes, said another counselor, but your report lacks detail. No specifics on your technique. No explanation of your restraint. Is that a problem? She asked. They paused. No, Honeck admitted. But you must understand, the impact of your demonstration has caused unrest. Several species on campus have filed formal concern over human capabilities. Ava didn't flinch. Because I defended myself? Because of how you did it. She turned slightly, just enough to let the room feel the weight in her eyes. I sat still, she said. I didn't attack. I didn't threaten. I didn't move until he made me. You destroyed his nerve system with no visible effort. I gave him back what he brought with him. There was a silence none of them dared to interrupt. Then Honeck cleared his throat. You're being reassigned to private tutelage. One-on-one instruction. No more public demos. It's safer. For who? She asked. No one answered. Outside, Ava walked back toward her quarters, steps slow, thoughtful. Pellin was waiting in the corridor, shifting nervously. They called you in? She nodded. They said you're dangerous? They said I'm inconvenient. He hesitated. Ava, you could leave. You don't have to stay here. She met his eyes. Leaving would make them feel right. Pellin looked down. I don't think they'll ever feel right about you. I'm not here to make them comfortable. He didn't know what to say after that. So he said nothing. Later, she opened her trunk again. Same photograph. Same worn edge. But behind it, a thin memory chip slid out from a hidden crease. She hadn't looked at it in years. She placed it into the desk terminal and let it play. The screen flickered. Her brother's voice filled the room. Hey Squirt. If you're watching this, then I didn't make it. She didn't breathe. Listen. I knew this day might come. And I knew you'd survive. You always did things your way, even when you were scared. That's your gift. And your curse. His face was tired. Dirt on his cheek. Smoke behind him. I taught you everything I knew because I wanted you to be safe. But I also wanted you to remember something more important. We don't fight because we love violence. We fight because we love people. You win when you protect someone, even if they never know it. He leaned forward, softer now. Don't let them change you. Not this place. Not their rules. Not their fear. You don't owe them anything, Ava. You don't even owe them an explanation. He paused. But if one day, someone really tries you, don't hold back. Show them what Earth remembers. The screen went dark. She wiped her cheek once. Then again. Then stood. The next day, the Academy announced an interspecies unity event. Celebratory. Superficial. Ava knew what it really was, a test. They wanted to see her. See if she'd smile. See if she'd slip. See if she could. She showed up late. Walked in quietly. Students stared, but no one approached. Not even out of curiosity. The music played, alien rhythms pulsing under sterile lights. Ava stood alone near the back wall. Until a voice surprised her. I saw the footage. She turned. A tall Karen girl stood beside her, Vorek's sister. Her uniform bore combat honors, her face sharper, her posture more rigid. He was a fool, she said. Ava blinked. He didn't need to suffer like that. No, the girl agreed. But maybe someone did. She handed Ava a data crystal. What is this? Ava asked. His recovery log. He doesn't sleep. But he dreams. And he says your name. Ava hesitated. You came to warn me? I came to understand you. Ava studied her, then placed the crystal in her jacket. You won't, she said gently. The Karen didn't argue. Just nodded. Then walked away. That night, Ava sat outside the campus tower, high enough to see the stars stretch into a ribbon. She remembered Earth then. Real soil. Cold air. The sharp scent of ozone before the rain. And she remembered her brother's last lesson, not in a fight, not in training, but the night before he deployed. They were sitting on the roof, wrapped in a single blanket. She asked him if he was afraid. He said, Fear isn't the enemy. It's forgetting who you are that kills you. She closed her eyes. In that moment, on a distant alien world, surrounded by suspicion and silence, she didn't feel small. She felt like Earth. Quiet. Wounded. But still watching. Still waiting. Far above, in the Council's private observatory, J.L. Rax dictated one final entry. Subject Ava Wren has not breached protocol. She remains non-aggressive. But she is no longer invisible. Her name circulates. Her actions are studied. Her restraint is misinterpreted as design. This is a mistake. He paused. Then added one more line. They all worry about what she'll do next. I worry about what made her this way. He sealed the file. Marked it, for eyes that remember the war.